Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are going to continue reading from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6. And today we are going to read text 2. Does anyone remember any main point from yesterday? Like what was the main thing?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
The
Krishna.
main thing from the previous chapter was that Srila Prabhupada mode is to follow the footsteps of Prahlāda Maharaj. And Krishna is very, very compassionate, and his devotees are also very compassionate, and they just want us all to bring back us to Godhead. So from previously the association and how association is so important and to serve in. So that was the mode. And then the next one, Prahlāda Maharaj is instructing his friends that it is intelligence that from very young age, you should start Krishna consciousness. Bhakti, devotional service is very, very important, and at very young age, because that is only the goal. And
yes, thank you.
Nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Prahlāda Maharaj is telling them that material knowledge, material activities, that's just going to keep you here in the material world. But what is of real importance is spiritual, transcendental knowledge, transcendental activities. Yes, thank you. So then going on, yathahi purushasya yeha
Yathahi purushasya
Vishnu padopasarpanam
Vishnu
Padopasarpanam
yad esha sarva bhutanam
Yad
Sarvabhutanam
priya atmeshvara surit.
Priya
Atmeshwara Surat.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The human form of life affords one a chance to return home back to Godhead. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the most beloved, the master of the soul, and the well-wisher of all other living beings. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 5:29, Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim rachati. The sage who knows me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So Srila Prabhupada would say this is the peace formula. We really want to become peaceful. We need to understand what Krishna is saying in this verse. That Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Krishna is the supreme proprietor. Krishna is the supreme controller. And Krishna is the best friend of all living beings. Krishna is my best friend and Krishna is best friend of everyone. If we can understand these things, we can become peaceful. And Krishna himself is saying, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Material miseries are there. At each moment we are being like onslaught of misery one after another. But if we can understand Krishna's position, it can help us to free ourselves from these miseries. Simply by understanding these three facts, that the Supreme Lord Vishnu is the proprietor of the entire creation, that he is the best well-wishing friend of all living entities, and that he is the supreme enjoyer of everything, one becomes peaceful and happy. You know, just like in our house, we make the rules, we enjoy our house the way we want to, isn't it? Nobody can come and say, hey, why you're sitting like this in your house? Why you're not sitting in this room? Why you're sitting in that room? why you're doing this. You'll say, it's my house, I can enjoy it the way I want to. Similarly, this entire creation belongs to Krishna. So he is the supreme enjoyer. Everything belongs to him. Whoever is the owner, he also has the right to enjoy that property. So, and Krishna, he's the best well-wisher. He's our best friend. No one can be a better friend than Krishna. So if we can understand this, we can become peaceful and happy. For this transcendental happiness, the living entity has wandered throughout the universe in different forms of life and different planetary systems. But because he has forgotten his intimate relationship with Vishnu, he has merely suffered life after life. So we have been in different planets, different universes, we have been in different types of bodies, we are wandering around. Why? Because we want to experience this happiness. And this happiness is only in connection to Krishna and our relationship with Krishna. Once we can revive it, we will be happy again. So, in search of this happiness, we are going everywhere. So, therefore, the educational system in the human form of life should be so perfect that one will understand his intimate relationship with God or Vishnu. But in this human life, we can understand what's our relationship with God. In animal body, it's not so easy to understand all these things. It's not so easy to engage in devotional service, to use our intelligence. But in human form, we are given enough. There's enough suffering for us to want to understand what's happening, and there's enough happiness to keep us little peaceful also, like to keep us a bit calm. Because in hellish planets, it's too much suffering. So one may not be able to focus on God. In heavenly planets, too much enjoyment. One does not care to know about God. Human body is perfect to help us understand our relationship with God. Every living entity has an intimate relationship with God. One should therefore glorify the Lord in the adoration of Shantaras, or revive his eternal relationship with Vishnu as a servant in Dasyaras, a friend in Sakyaras, a parent in Vatsalyaras, or a conjugal lover in Madhuryaras. All these relationships are on the platform of love. So, what are the 5 relationships?
Conjugal, Dasya, Sakya, Shantaras, Dasyarak, Sakyaraks, Premras, Madhurya, and
Vatsalya.
Vatsalya.
Hmm. Yeah, so Vishnu is the center of love for everyone, and therefore the duty of everyone is to engage in the loving service of the Lord, just as the duty of the Son to serve the Father. So it's the duty of all of us. We are all children of God to serve God. Jivera Swarubhai Krishna Nitya Das, says Lord Chaitanya. We are all servants of Krishna. As stated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavatam, Canto 325, Text 38. Yesham aham priya atma sutash, cha sakha guru surido devam ishtam. In any form of life, we are related with Vishnu, who is the most beloved, the super soul, son, friend, and guru. Our eternal relationship with God can be revived in the human form of life, and that should be the goal of education. Indeed, that is the perfection of life and the perfection of education. So we are thinking education means I need to go get a material degree, um, study a lot, PhD or master's or something. Sure, we need that to survive in the material world. We are, after all, in the material world, in the material body. But at the same time, we need the real education, our spiritual education, because we are, after all, spirit souls inside this human body. And the real education can help us to revive our relationship with God. It's our eternal relationship, a relationship which never ends. It's a never ending relationship. Sukham Aindriyakam Daitya.
Sukham
Sukham
Indriyakam Daitya.
Deha Yogena Dehinam.
Yogena Dehinam.
Sarvatra Labhyate Devat.
Sarvatra labhyate deva.
Yatha Dukham Ayatnata.
Yatha
Yatha dukham ayatnatah.
Prahlāda Maharaj continued, my dear friends, born of demoniac families, the happiness perceived with reference to the sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life according to one's past fruitive activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just as we obtain distress. In the material world, in any form of life, there is some so-called happiness and so-called distress. No one invites distress in order to suffer, but still it comes. Similarly, even if we do not endeavor to obtain the advantages of material happiness, we shall obtain them automatically. So what Prahlāda Maharaj is saying is, we don't try to get suffering. Nobody is going to purposely do something that, oh, I'm going to do something, so I'm going to suffer. Such fun. Nobody does that, right? But suffering comes. We, in fact, try to avoid the suffering, yet it comes. So, similarly, as suffering is coming by itself, happiness will also come by itself, because that's the rule of this material world. And so, what Prahlāda Maharaj is saying, that we can get this in any life. All the living in any form of life, we are able to get this suffering, this happiness. But it's only in human life that we can revive our relationship with God. So this happiness and distress are obtainable in any form of life without endeavor. Thus, there is no need to waste time and energy fighting against distress or working very hard for happiness. Our only business in the human form of life should be to revive our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become qualified to return home back to Godhead. So what we do is we may get consumed by the happiness and the distress. We may be overly putting our time and energy to avoid the distress or to enjoy the happiness. But Prahlāda Maharaj is saying this will come and this will go. But use instead this time that you have in this human body to revive your relationship with God. That's what he's telling us. Revive our relationship with God. And in this way, go back home, back to Godhead. Material happiness and distress come as soon as we accept a material body, regardless of what form. We cannot avoid such happiness and distress under any circumstances. The best use of human life, therefore, lies in reviving our relationship with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. So we may think, okay, I'm in this body and that's why I'm having distress. Other people seem not to have distress. Other people seem to be just enjoying. But everyone in this material world has their own share of happiness and distress, no matter what body we are in. So happiness and distress will come. Prahlāda Maharaj is saying, instead, engage the time and energy to revive our relationship with God. Is that okay?
Yes.
Because we may think, oh, only I am distressed, others are not having distress. But here it's the rule of the world. Anyone in a material body is going to get some distress, some happiness. Tat prayaso na kartavyo.
Tat
Prayaso na kartavyo.
Yata ayurvaya param.
Yatha
Ayurvaya param.
Na tatha vindate shemam.
Na
Tatha vindate shemam.
Mukunda charanambujam.
Mukunda
Charanambujam.
Hare Krishna. Shilpa ji, I just wanted to tell that this is one of the important verses where they give it to learn.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, this I have heard a lot of times from Amrendra Prabhu to remember this one.
Oh, thank you.
इतना
Oh,
प्रयत्न
okay.
करते हैं सुख और दुख पाने के लिए हम लोग.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
पूरा
Okay,
लाइफ
so
इसी में
this is
बिता दिया है. पूरी लाइफ देखा जाए तो.
yeah. Endeavors merely for sense gratification or material happiness through economic development are not to be performed, for they result only in a loss of time and energy with no actual profit. If one's endeavors are directed toward Krishna consciousness, one can surely attain the spiritual platform of self realization. There is no such benefit from engaging oneself in economic development. Yeah, it's true. No, we got so consumed that I want to enjoy. Our full endeavor, our full focus is how I can enjoy. And the same focus, if we can put to revive our relationship with God, then for sure we will be able to realize it. That's why they say, right? Dhunne se Bhagwan bhi mil jate hain. If we can really have that lolium, that greed for Krishna, as we have that intense desire to enjoy the material world, if we can have that intense desire to revive our relationship with God, for sure we'll be able to revive it. We see materialistic persons busily engaged in economic development all day and night, trying to increase their material opulence. But even if we suppose that they get some benefit from such endeavors, that does not solve the real problems of their lives. What is the real problem of the life?
That we are the body, we are the soul and not the body. That is the real earth, uh, old age disease.
Yes.
Are the real
That's
problem. Birth, old
yes.
age disease, death, and
Yes.
sickness.
Yeah, that's the real problem. So nor do they know what the real problem of life is. This is due to a lack of spiritual education. Especially in the present age, every man is in darkness in the bodily conception of life, not knowing anything of the spirit soul and its needs, misguided by the blind leaders of society. People consider the body to be everything, and they're engaged in trying to keep the body materially comfortable. It's true, no? We are just bombarded with this propaganda everywhere we go, everywhere we look. We are just put more and more in this illusion, more and more in the delusion that I'm the body. Enjoy this body as much as you can. Our whole being is consumed by it. Such a civilization is condemned because it does not lead humanity toward knowing the real goal of life. People are simply wasting time and the valuable gift of the human form, because a human being who does not cultivate spiritual life but dies like the cats and dogs is degraded in his next life. From human life, such a person is put into the cycle of continuous birth and death. Thus, one loses the true benefit of human life, which is to become Krishna conscious and solve life's problems. So yeah, Prahlāda Maharaj is saying if we don't take proper use of this life, we are again going to be in this cycle of birth and death. Tato yateta kushalaha
तत्तो
यतेत कुशलः
shemaya bhavam ashrita
Shemai
क्षेमाय
Bhagavan
भवम् आश्रितः
shariram paurusham yavan
शरीरं
Shariram
पौरुषं यावन्
na vipadyeta pushkalam.
Na
न विपद्येत पुष्कलम्.
Therefore, while in material existence, bhavam ashrita, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right, must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life, as long as the body is stout and strong and is not embarrassed by dwindling. As stated by Prahlāda Mahārāja at the beginning of this chapter, Kaumara acharet pragya. The word pragya refers to one who is experienced and who can distinguish right from wrong. Such a person should not waste his energy and valuable human lifetime simply working like a cat or dog to develop his economic condition. So Prahlāda Maharaj, his whole thing, he's trying to tell his friends, don't be so overly engrossed in material things. They are going to come. Whatever is there is going to come. Focus on spiritual activities. For one word in this verse, there are two readings, Bhavam Ashrita and Bhayam Ashrita. But accepting the meaning of either of them will bring one to the same conclusion. Bhayam Ashrita indicates that the materialistic way of life, is always fearful because at every step there is danger. Materialistic life is full of anxieties and fear. Bhayam is true, no? Who can say, oh, I don't have any fear. I don't have any anxiety. We all have so many fears, so many anxieties. Similarly, accepting the reading Bhavam Ashrita, the word Bhavam refers to unnecessary trouble and problems. For want of Krishna consciousness, one is put into Bhavam, being perpetually embarrassed by birth, death, old age, and disease. Thus, one is surely full of anxieties. So, why Prabhupada is saying unnecessary trouble and problems? We don't need to be in this body, What is our problem is we don't want to surrender to Krishna. Till the time we don't surrender to Krishna, we have to continue repeating this birth, death, old age, and disease. We're going to be in this body till the time we understand our position in relation to Krishna. Human society should be divided into a social system of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. But everyone can engage in devotional service. If one wants to live without devotional service, his status as a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra certainly has no meaning. So the Vedic society, the Varnashram society was divided, but the focus was, okay, you do what materially you're inclined to do. You're inclined to be a leader, you be a Kshatriya or a trader, be a Vaishya. But the focus is develop spiritual knowledge, advance in spiritual life. Prabhupada is saying if one is not going to do that, then there is no meaning to be Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. It is said, Sthanat Brishta Patanti Ada. Whether one is in a higher or lower division, one certainly falls down for want of Krishna consciousness. A sane man, therefore, is always fearful of falling from his position. This is a regulative principle. One should not fall from his exalted position. The highest goal of life can be achieved as long as one's body is stout and strong. We should therefore live in such a way that we keep ourselves always healthy and strong in mind and intelligence, so that we can distinguish the goal of life from a life full of problems. A thoughtful man must act in this way, learning to distinguish right from wrong and thus attain the goal of life. So Prahlāda Maharaj is saying, keep a healthy body, keep a healthy mind, and then use the intelligence to understand, okay, this is going to help me, or this is in fact going to put me in more problems. What am I doing? Am I creating more and more problems for myself, or am I trying to solve my problem? The thing is, many times we forget what is our real problem. We get so engrossed in our material problem, we just forget, oh, what's my real problem actually, Isn't it? Our real problem is
Yes.
that we are thinking we are the body, we forgot our relationship with Krishna, and not engage in pure devotional service. We've forgotten our relationship with Krishna. That's our real problem. Comments? Questions?
Yeah, using our intelligence based on the knowledge that we are reading. Not to forget that. And that's why we have to I feel that we have to keep reading, we have to keep listening to Bhagavatam. It keeps reminding us again and again what we may forget.
Yes, it's true.
Or,
Yes.
and also we are
By hearing
continuously,
the scripture.
yes. And also we are continuously chanting. So that will also keep us grounded. So
Yes.
it will help us to choose the right things.
Yes.
Mm.
It's true. Yes.
We'll be in consciousness.
And the one more part, what they said that the body is dwindling. I saw this time, like even my parents, my in-laws, previously they used to visit so many places like they could go to Vrindavan, they visited anytime they wanted, but now it is not possible. Now they cannot they cannot take such a long drive because they cannot sit for a very long period. So I remember my mother saying, "Okay, I'm very happy that somehow both my daughters have got into this." And she also said that, "Abhi jitna karna hai kar lo, because you never know when your body will not be your friend." And you're very
So
fortunate that at a young age you are able to do so. She will always say that, "Go, okay, do." नहीं तो पता नहीं चलेगा कि कब शरीर ही साथ नहीं देगा, हेल्थ साथ नहीं देगी. So I realized that yeah, that is a very important point कि अभी हमें जितना कर सकते हैं हमें करना चाहिए. सेवा है या तीर्थ स्थान को विजिट करना है या मंदिर जाना है, जितना भी हम कर सकते हैं हमें करना चाहिए. And we should also pray Krishna कि I am able to serve you. Please help me that I am able to serve you as long as I can. Like when I see Lakshmi auntie, she's a big example. क्योंकि वो हमेशा चाहे कुछ भी होता है, इवन हेल्प करने भी आ जाती है टेम्पल में, जितना भी वो कर सकती हैं. एंड शी इज इन अ गुड एज, उनकी एज है, बट शी इज नॉट गिविंग इट अप, शी इज कमिंग.
Yeah, so true. So true. Okay. Umso varsha shatam hi ayus.
Umso
Shatam
Tad tad ardham chati chaji tatmanah.
tad
Nishphalam yad asau ratriyam. Shetindam prapitastamam. Every human being has a maximum duration of life of 100 years. But for one who cannot control his senses, half of those years are completely lost because at night he sleeps 12 hours, being covered by ignorance. Therefore, such a person has a lifetime of only 50 years. And that also, we don't even know if we are going to live for 100 years, right? Hardly who lives actually for 100. How much percentage of people? Lord Brahma, a human being, and an ant all live for 100 years, but their lifetimes of 100 years are different from one another. This world is a relative world, and its relative moments of time are different. So time is relative, right? Time moves differently for different living entities. For an ant, it's very fast. For Lord Brahma, his 100 years is like our, so how many billions of years, right? 311 trillion or something. So thus the 100 years of Brahma are not the same as the 100 years of a human being. From Bhagavad Gita, we understand that Brahma's daytime of 12 hours equals 4,300,000 times 1,000 years. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. Aharyad Brahmano Vidu. Thus the Varsha Shatam, or 100 years, are relatively different according to time, person, and circumstances. As far as human beings are concerned, the calculation given here is right for the general public. Although one has a maximum of 100 years of life, by sleeping one loses 50 years. Eating, sleeping, sex life, and fear are the four bodily necessities. but to utilize the full duration of life of a person desiring to advance in spiritual consciousness must reduce these activities that will give him an opportunity to fully use his lifetime. Because we have to eat, sleep, mate, defend, and then that's what we are using this full life for. Prahlāda Maharaj is saying half your life is just going to go to sleep. We are thinking we still have time, but actually, how much time do we have? That we are not able to understand. Actually, how much time do we have? Muktasya balye keshore,
Tasya
मुग्धस्य
balye kaishore
vidato yati vimshati,
क्रीडतु
tato
याति
yati
विंशति
vimshati
jaraya grasta dehasya,
जरया
jaraya grasta
ग्रस्तदेहस्य
dehasya
yati akalpasya vimshati.
याति
yati akalpasya
अकल्पद्विंशतिः
vimshatihi.
In the tender age of childhood, when everyone is bewildered, one passes 10 years. Similarly, in boyhood, engaged in sporting and places, one passes another 10 years. In this way, 20 years are wasted. Similarly, in old age, when one is an invalid, unable to perform even material activities, one passes another 20 years wastefully. It's true, no? When we are children, we don't know what we are doing, right? And then goes in studying. And then also old age, invalidity, you know. So without Krishna consciousness, one wastes 20 years in childhood and boyhood and another 20 years in old age. When one cannot perform any material activities and is full of anxiety about what is to be done by his sons and grandsons and how one's estate should be protected. Half of these years are spent in sleep. Furthermore, one wastes another 30 years sleeping at night during the rest of his life. Thus, 70 out of 100 years are wasted by a person who does not know the aim of life and how to utilize this human form. So, out of 170 are gone. 70, they'll be gone in sleeping, they'll be going and playing to get education and old age. You're so sick, you can't even do anything. What else? What are you going to do, you know? Durapurena kamena
दुरापुरेण
Durapurena
कामेन
kamena
mohena cha baliyasa
मोहेन च
mohenacha baliyasa
shesham griheshu saktasya
शेषं ग्रहेषु
griheshu
सत्यस्य
saktasya
pramatasya payatihi.
प्रमतस्य
pramasya
अपयातिः
payatihi.
One whose mind and senses are uncontrolled becomes increasingly attached to family life because of insatiable lusty desires and very strong illusion. In such a madman's life, the remaining years are also wasted because even during those years, he cannot engage himself in devotional service. So, the life when 70 years gone, playing, education, old age, and sleep. And then one who is too attached to sense gratification, the remaining time is going to go in that. Too attached to sense gratification. And this is the account of 100 years of life. Although in this age, a lifetime of 100 years is generally not possible. Even if one has 100 years, the calculation is that 50 years are wasted in sleeping, 20 years in childhood and boyhood, and 20 years in invalidity, jaravyadi. This leaves only a few more years. But because of too much attachment to household life, those years are also spent with no purpose, without God consciousness. Therefore, one should be trained to be a perfect brahmachari in the beginning of life, and then to be perfect in sense control, following the regulative principles if one becomes a householder. So Prabhupada is saying the whole life just goes like that. That's the reason there is so much need that training be given from childhood, brahmachari. The child is small, from then begins the training so that he can live his life with the understanding that, oh, I have an eternal relationship with Krishna and I need to revive this relationship, so that that can be the center of all his activities. So from household life, one is ordered to accept vanaprastha and go to the forest and then accept sannyas. That is the perfection of life. From the very beginning of life, those who are ajitendriya, who cannot control their senses, are educated only for sense gratification, as we have seen in the Western countries. Thus, the entire duration of a life of even 100 years is wasted and misused. And at the time of death, one transmigrates to another body which may not be human. So that is the greatest danger. Krishna says little devotional service can also save one from the greatest type of fear. That is, our next life, we don't know what it's going to be, our next body. We don't know. At the end of 100 years, one who has not acted as a human being in a life of tapasya, austerity, and penance must certainly be embodied again in a body like those of cats, dogs, and hogs. Therefore, this life of lusty desires and sense gratification is extremely risky. So how we are acting in this life, what's our consciousness in this life? We are preparing our next body, our next life. Comments? Questions?
So karmic account comes here, right? Also.
Yes. Yes. Karmic account. Yes.
And when did Prahlāda Maharaj give all this teaching? Was it after Lord Nrsimhadev gave
No,
him?
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh.
What happens is this Hiranyakashipu asked him, what's the best thing you learned? He says, devotional service. So he got very angry. He said, I'm going to kill you. And he tried to kill Prahlāda.
Oh.
You know, poison food, elephants, tridents, snakes, everything. But the boy didn't die. Hiranyakashipu was getting scared then. Then his teacher, Shanda Marka, told Hiranyakashipu, don't worry, we are going to brainwash him. We are going to teach him about material things. So now, at some one point of time, it's a recess time, and they are in school, and the boys are asking Prahlāda, hey, why don't you play with us? So Prahlāda is giving them this transcendental knowledge. He's telling them, don't waste time, because time will just go by. Engage in devotional service and revive your relationship with Krishna. Yeah.
But this is so true, Shilpa ji, that the education that we are getting or what we are giving today is totally for the material happiness that people are, longing or they are running after.
Yeah.
Only material happiness. Like they just want to be happy. But how Prabhupada has given the peace formula, it is so important, and there is so much unrest in the whole world. And if they just start considering this formula, it will be really so peaceful.
Yeah, it's true.
not
Because
that
see, from
difficult.
from childhood, we are bombarded with this propaganda. You're the body, enjoy the body as much as you can. Everything is for your enjoyment. Then we live lives like that. We are, we are like kind of programmed in that way from childhood.
Mm.
And then as adults, because we learned that as a child, and as adults, that's what we do, and that's what we are pursuing.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
So
people are
it's
not
true.
ready to accept, no.
Yeah, they're not ready.
The thing is, like, when you tell someone also many times, like, then they look at you like, are you okay?
Mm.
I don't know.
And there
Like,
is this,
it's so hard.
and there is this latest style that एक ही तो जिंदगी है हमारी. We just have one
तो ये
life.
क्या कर
Let
रही
us
है?
live.
हाँ.
Let us live. क्या कर रही है तू? तो वेस्ट कर रही है अपनी जिंदगी. इसी में निकाल दे बस पूरी जिंदगी तू.
या पूरा
एक
टाइम
ही
बस
जिंदगी
यही
है.
करना है
हाँ.
मेरे को, बस.
Yeah, it's true. But then also, you know,
Mhm.
Prabhupada would say, because Krishna himself says, Manushyanam Sahasresu, right? That
Mm.
hardly anyone comes to Krishna. Then Prabhupada would say, you know, how many people are there willing to buy a diamond and who can afford to buy a diamond? You know, the
Mm.
buyers of diamonds are very few compared to any other commodity, right? Prabhupada would say that in that time because people will say, oh, you're being so encouraged in your movement, it's hardly barely any few people, and you see the full population of the world. He say, yeah, but you can't expect everyone to take up Krishna consciousness.
Mm.
You know, so in that way, we have to be realistic also that not everyone will be able to take up Krishna consciousness, but we can be a friend to them, try to encourage them if possible from wherever, at whatever level they are. That what Krishna says in 12th chapter, right? He says, you're not able to do this for me, do this. You're not able to do this, do this. You're not able to do this, do this. So
Mm.
whatever one is able to do at their own level, we can just encourage them then in that process. You know, but
Because
also
I think,
devotees are
and I
there.
think,
We
yeah,
just have to find them. I'm sorry.
yeah,
yeah, and I
devotees.
think what we are reading today, that is what we understand, right? Only a child is in childhood, it's the right time to learn because they are ready to take all that. And so our friends probably at this age, like we may feel that, oh, let me share this with my friend. I want to bring her to Krishna consciousness also. Maybe she's not in that position she's not in that, that time period to take this up yet because she's already past her childhood age where she could have actually gotten this knowledge, like Prabhupada keeps saying, and we are reading now. So we have to, give this in the right age so that it remains as a center and we have that conviction and belief in Krishna. That values come, yeah,
Yeah,
with
it's
the
true.
age.
Yeah.
The values come with the age, yeah. So even at this age, I mean, like our age, there may be people who will be ready to accept what we are learning, but we have to be the example. They can see through what we can be an example to them. I mean, whatever the experiences we are having, they would be able to see that. So they would like like the children here in the school in the recess time, they're seeing, wow, they sat down to listen to Prahlāda Maharaj and they are amazed at why does he have this knowledge, only because they are seeing him differently. Why is he so smart, why is he so intelligently speaking to us? They are amazed. So we can amaze people only by example also. So we don't really have to try to bring them, but we can stay as an example. We can keep doing what we are doing. So that's why
Yeah.
we are reading now also intelligently. We have to try to discern what we should be doing, what is right, what is wrong. And when we keep doing that, we are going to be, you know, moving forward, and we also will be as an example for others. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, nice. Thank you. Yes. Being
Yeah.
an example,
Yeah.
very important, teaching by
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. Very important because
Yes.
we keep hearing about, hear every day, chant every day. Yes, we have to hear, but then we are also seeing you, right, Shilpa? We are seeing you. You are an example for us. Every day, without fail, you try your best to come to remind us, hey, we are speaking Krishna
Oh, we are
conscious
all in
here.
this together. You all, we are all in this, waking up. We
Oh
all are
my God.
doing that,
But without
trying
without
to,
you in the class, we are not doing it, right?
You
So
motivate us, really.
yes, yes.
You
Without you,
inspire
we
us a lot.
can't. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So I mean, whatever I'm understanding from, I think without seeing you, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm just getting inspired from what you're doing, and that's what I feel, and that's what I feel that now that we are listening to, it should be learned in childhood and all these things. I realize that we can be like a child, we can watch you as a child, and we can absorb a lot because children also do that because they really are in that learning process also. So I mean, looking at you, you are an example for us, and we can try our best to be like you by your blessings.
oh,
Yeah.
please don't be like me. Please. But
We
yeah, we
will
can
try,
encourage each other to
yeah,
read.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can encourage each other to read. That's the
Yes,
point.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yeah, encourage each other.
Mm.
So thank you all so much
Hare Krishna.
for your encouragement. Prahlāda Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Srimad
Jai
Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.